immediately. And you do have a Keon Ellis situation now that has made some Sacramento Kings fans really, really uncomfortable. You're just playing a tough game now with Keon. And I think I put it in the notes. He's extension eligible. Is it February?
So I keep hearing different things.
I think it's February 9th.
Is
that wrong?
No, James, and we'll talk to him and we'll see if we get some clarification on that. Unless I heard him wrong, he's of the belief they can do the extension at any time.
Oh, okay.
But other people are saying it can't be till February 9th. So I'm trying to figure that out too, because I thought it was you can do the extension at any point in time.
Well, I don't understand what the importance of February 9th would be. Like if he's on your roster, if you get like it's like with the the franchise tag in the NFL, you have till a certain date, but once that date passes, there's nothing until the next year where you either you either part ways, franchise again, or you come to a contract solution. Yeah. But there's no once this date is done, it's done. Right. And I don't think that's the case with the NBA.
The Sports Illustrated article says he becomes extension eligible on February 9th.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe they can work something out before, but maybe that's when you can officially sign something or something. But yeah, they say he's extension eligible February 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that.
That's what I thought. Yeah. But James kind of knows this stuff inside and out. So.
And today on the Insiders, and like I said,
but again, I guess Jesse's right. You could. No, we'll do it. We'll just date it February 10th.
Yeah,
that's all.
So James said on the Insiders, he was like, I don't know, I'm gonna follow up on that because I heard differently. And then he goes, yeah, I was told specifically because it was with another player. Maybe it was with Keon or another player. I don't know. But he said, I was told specifically by Wes Wilcox they had all year to come up with a deal. I said, well, that is not helping your argument. that is not going to help.
You don't say. Wes Wilcox said that, huh?
That has not given me confidence in what's going on.
You have something to say, Damian?
No, man. Salute to Wes Wilcox, man. Hope he's enjoying Utah. Him and Ace Bailey.
Utah Utes.
Wes Wilcox, Ace Bailey, an NBA young boy.
Man. I wonder if he got out yet. Got off of house arrest. I thought I heard that about a month ago. Oh no, got pardoned. That's what happened.
Who?
I don't know.
Elk Grove Kid Talk Line, as if multiple people can pardon someone. One guy who could do it. Elk Grove Kid Talk Line is open for you all day, 916-909-1320. We know everybody is antsy headed into the 3:00 start of free agency. The Kings picking up Keon Ellis's option for the year certainly left a lot of people a little anxious, knowing that he could become an unrestricted free agent next season. The max that the Kings can offer Keon Ellis is 4 years, $89 million. Questioning whether someone would offer him more, I'd probably be a bit crazy. But 4 years, $89 million, is that too much for Keon Ellis? Is that on point for Keon Ellis? Is that the alpha and omega right there? That number, is at the beginning and the end, or are we looking for something a little smaller in dollar figure? Better for Keon.
For me, that seems a little rich for Keon Ellis.
20 plus per.
Yeah, a player that I really like. I actually love Keon. I think you need Keon Ellis's on your team.
Again, that's the max he can get, not that's the max.
He's a guy that you need on your team if you're going to be a winning ball club. But that seemed to get to that max level for that deal, that seems like a lot. For Keon, I look at him more in that $14 to $15 million range
it's going to be a popular number today.
Yeah,
it's going to be a really popular number.
But that That I don't think he would get that on the open market. I really don't. And then maybe you get into situations where he's more valuable to you than he is some random team. And I understand that, but that seems like a lot for Keon. And one of the things that I would ask you, I would ask everybody out there listening, breaking down how these things play out, the contract situation, the Kings cap situation, what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
What would you guys have wanted the Kings to do in this situation? It seems like picking up the option was the best decision they could have made. Smartest decision they could have made.
It buys you time. It probably frustrates the player. And it puts Keon in a position, and this isn't going to scare Keon, but it puts him in a position where he's got to play well. What might scare Keon, and I don't think this is true because Doug Christie is here, and Keon with Doug was different than Keon with Mike. But Keon might feel like going into training camp, he's got to prove himself all over again, and he's got to establish himself, and he's got to be great leading into February, whenever, or at least for a sustained period of time, where that front office goes, hey, we can't make this official till February 10th, or maybe it is February 10th or 9th or whatever. And, want to work out a long-term deal. We want you to be here for a long time.
Yeah. And from Keon's perspective, I mean, it sucks. It sucks. It really does. He's worked hard to get to this position where I think his value with the Kings and around the league is way higher than $2 million a year.
Yeah.
Like if he was on the open market,
Agreed,
he'd get 10, 12, maybe $15 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, the contract situation that he's in and the situation that the Sacramento Kings franchise is in right now, to me, this was the best move for them to make. It comes at a risk because you may upset him. You may end up losing a guy like Keon Ellis who you don't want to lose. But this was the move to make for this franchise from everything that I've seen written and talked about, with the options that they have by picking up picking up his option and the options they would have by signing him to an extension on Sunday or Saturday, whatever day that was.
Mm-hmm.
This was the move to make for the franchise.
Our man Michael asks here on youtube.com/ESPN1320 over in the chatty house, what is February 9th in relation to the trade deadline next season? Can we trade Keon if he doesn't sign the extension? I don't know that we have the trade deadline for next year yet, Michael, but can you trade Keon? Yeah, of course you can, but there's probably no point because remember, he's a $2 million player right now. So he's probably getting thrown in on a trade that is bigger. Otherwise, you're trading a $2 million player, which isn't going to net you anything that any Sacramento Kings fan is going to be happy with. Right. So I'd probably erase the idea of the Kings trading Keon from your thought process, because it just wouldn't make any sort of sense.
NBA on their website has the trade deadline as February 6th, 2026.
Okay, terrific.
He talks about the things that I don't have a definitive answer for. I don't know. I just asked the question. Nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
I just asked the question. What these guys went through last year, how much does that matter? The coaching situation, personal issues with Zach LaVine and dealing with his wife and his newborn. We had guys like DeMar DeRozan who's seen it all in this league, who's seen it all. Say that was the craziest season I've ever seen. That was Doug Christie, for the better part of his time as head coach, was damn near coaching alone.
Right.
Yeah. Doug Christie kept referring to the Kings as an airplane he had to fix in the air.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
Nah, man. GM and front office guys who were done. One of them quit in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
One of them left as you're trying to get into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
One of them left. The other just was there. That's best case scenario. He was just there. Worst case scenario, he worked against you and did a trade in spite, not necessarily the trade, but what you got in the trade. All that going on. If I tell you all that is gone next year,
Yeah.
Once again, is that worth 1 win? I don't know. Is it worth 5 wins? I don't know. But I think it's got to be worth something.
It's difficult for me to believe that there's not a human element involved in all of this. I mean, I know we compartmentalize this stuff. It's just basketball. These guys are professional athletes, and that's it. So, when a brother gets traded from, across the country a couple of days after him and his wife have a child, and they all just up and move to California, there's going to be an impact there. There's going to be an impact on moving your family. There's going to be an impact on having a new member in your family. There's going to be an impact on living in a place where you don't know anyone and there's no one around to help you, and all of these different things are at play. There's an impact when your top player, star player, just not here no more. That's the thing. You've got players upset with their coach at the time because their coach at the time isn't playing one of the guys who they think can help them the most. Yeah, again, it's not making excuses for this team. It's really just a simple reality. That has to play a factor. Now, does it mean that this is a 50-win team, a 55-win team? Nope. We tried to establish last week, hey, maybe I've asked this question 50 times this offseason to different people, to you, to us. Did the Sacramento Kings underachieve or did we overvalue? And the answer is yes and yes. To what degree, though, I think is the question. And you want to talk about Schroder, you want to talk about Westbrook, if you want to talk about moves that maybe don't thrill the fan base, it's cool. That's fine. I still think they're better than last year. And whether that's 45 wins, 46 wins, 47 wins, that's fine. We've already acknowledged you do that, at least based off the map of last year's Western Conference. You're in the exact same spot. Now, that's going to create a frustration for some people, but that's fine. Give me 47 wins in the same spot that 40 wins got me, and I'm going to feel different as the season moves along. This isn't a championship contender. I know that. I'm not approaching this season believing, man, if we don't win the title, this is going to suck. I'm not of that belief. I want this team to play better. I want this to be an entertaining form of basketball. I want these guys to establish value. I want Scott Perry to be able to find ways to make this team better. Now I want him to be able to find ways to be better at the trade deadline. And then I want him to find ways to be better when the offseason gets here. That's what I expect Scott Perry to do, is to continue to make this basketball team better. Whatever moves that he makes in 2.5 hours or over the course of the next 48, 72, whatever amount of hours, I expect they're done with the idea that it makes the Sacramento Kings better.
Yeah. And that's it, man. And there are certain things that they'll do right now to make them better in the short term, like immediately. And there's things they probably won't do because it might hinder what they're able to do in the long term. And I like I said, I look at what happened last year as outside of injury, because for the most part, people were healthy. Domas got hurt last year, and Malik finished the season hurt as well. But for the most part, they were relatively healthy. Outside of injury, last year was just the worst as far as behind the scenes stuff. Once again, Roddy in the chat, I see him. He's like, so all this is just going to go away. Is it all Mike and Monty's fault? No, it's not. It's not all their fault. Number one, they played a role in it. Number two, the effects after Mike was gone was felt when you talk about some on the coaching staff just quitting. Like people on the coaching staff, because they were Mike Brown guys and Mike Brown got fired, or they got out that, there was direction to fire them. They quit. Doug Christie and maybe one or two other people had to run that coaching staff. So not saying it's Mike Brown's fault, but that played a role later when he was gone. That won't be there. Maybe Doug can be a better coach because he has better help around him now. Is Imani's fault?
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely a thing.
Yeah.
100%.
Is Imani McNair's fault? Kind of, but I'm not even going to put it all on him. He was checked out at some point last year. And
he was walking around saying his goodbyes.
Yeah. And his assistant left in like March, just left the operation to accept another job. I don't think BJ Armstrong is leaving in March, leaving Scott Perry. So once again, I can't tell you, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that those things result in 15 wins. It might, all that stuff and all the goodwill might result in 1 win. I don't know that. It might result in 8. I don't know that either. I'm just saying those things, in my opinion, have to play a factor in the success or lack thereof of a team. If you're dealing with all that stuff last year, it's going to be hard to win. If you're not dealing with that, it may put you on a better path to being successful.
And that is one of the frustrating things about last season is last season does feel like a what if. What if you had waited till the offseason to deal with the De'Aaron Fox situation? What if the De'Aaron Fox situation hadn't happened? What if you hadn't re-signed Mike Brown last summer? What if you had traded De'Aaron Fox last summer versus this summer? Everybody talks about what his value would have been this offseason. What if you don't bring Mike Brown back last year, which clearly someone in the organization didn't want to, and De'Aaron gives you the same ultimatum and you just trade him? What if that? There's so many different things at play here. And again, we might not get there in 1 year. We might not get there in 1 term. But can Scott Perry get us there?
Soren said earlier, oh, man, now Scott Perry's Obama.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Oh, man. But
I don't know. I mean, what was the campaign slogan? And it was yes, we can.
Hope.
That's it. It was hope. It was hope. The audacity of hope.
Hope starts today at about 3:01.
There it is. 3:01.
When they'll probably have a new point guard.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens with that.
We've been chasing one thing and one thing only. And if that I'm not gonna, if Dennis Schroder isn't tweeted in the first 2 minutes, it might be a part of something bigger. 5, 4, 3, 2, and happy New Year, everybody! Hey! The new league year is here.
What you talking about?
What it do, baby?
Shams, what you talking about? What you talking about,
Okay,
Shams?
everybody, shut up and look at their phones.
That's right.
Sweet. Hey, is my phone broken?
Shams,
I don't have
what are you
nothing
doing?
yet. Oh, no, it's Shams. Look, what you look? And ESPN got Wimbledon coverage on, or whatever the hell this is. Get this off of my television.
Get this crap off of my TV.
Come on, man. What are we doing here? Look at. Okay, it's 3 minutes and 33 seconds, or 3 and 33 seconds. We still got nothing, James. The
last tweet from Shams is him looking at his phone on the Sports Center set.
Well, great. Well, it'd be nice if Sports Center actually came on.
This is ridiculous.
Instead, there's something. Oh, I love. What's her name? Chris McKendry. She is terrific.
This free agency stinks.
Most overrated day ever. Look at. Oh, now it's 3:01, James. Now it's 3:01, and we have nothing.
It's quiet.
No deals. Look at Sacktown Kings. No deals yet. Shams a fraud.
This is wild.
Where's Woj? Where is Woj? This is
man.
Look, we can't do our jobs, Shams, if you don't do yours.
He told us it was going to be a big night tonight.
This is very much like Christmas, isn't it? I love NBA free agency.
Open socks. That's what
Yeah.
happened. It is very much like Christmas, and we just opened a bunch of socks.
That's funny. Yep.
I don't even know what
man.
question to ask James right now as we're just sitting here. I was going to say, who do you think the first tweet is? We don't even get it.
I think it's going to be Nickeil Alexander-Walker,
Ooh, but where?
Houston.
Okay.
I'll go Dorian Finney-Smith, Houston first.
Dorian
Yeah, that's a good
Finney-Smith,
one. I was
Houston.
thinking about that too.
Dorian
about that.
Finney-Smith, they said, yeah, there's a good chance for Houston with Dorian Finney-Smith.
Oh no, I think it's Detroit. Excuse. Well, no, maybe not. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I said Houston. I meant Detroit. But I think I'll go with Jesse. Finney-Smith to Houston is the first one.
Oh, the Ty Jerome to Memphis has legs for sure. Yeah, I don't know. The D'Angelo to Mavericks, I'm not sure. I think that they're also going to look at Russell Westbrook there. Yeah.
Look, Josh Hart just tweeted, it's 6:01 and I ain't see one deal. What happened to the game I love?
Yep.
1 minute and nothing. This isn't my NBA, man.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about this. Not happy. We've got 3,300 people watching.
Yeah,
all over the
we
place.
We literally have nothing to tell you.
We've got 900 people watching on YouTube right now.
Adam L says ESPN 1320 just got 100 new viewers and there's no new news yet.
That's right.
This is the worst day ever. We've been bamboozled.
Look, they're putting more NFL stuff up.
Can you imagine Sean? Like Sean's just like, what? I ain't doing it. Did we get the time wrong? Like, how is this even possible?
So who wants to talk Minka Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, we're what, 3 minutes in?
WNBA expansion?
Yeah.
They really they really got Kevin Nagandi up here talking about the Jalen Ramsey trade.
Nobody care about this mid trade.
This might be the worst day in NBA history.
Jalen Ramsey ain't been Jalen Ramsey in like 5 years.
The NBA is dead.
It's overrated. People are asking.
Look at one
Many people are asking.
One small market finals and the whole league goes to hell. Yeah, Eric B. Who's winning Wimbledon?
Wow.
Well,
Chris Haynes keeps looking at his phone.
Chris Haynes is like, I don't know this is a joke.
He's checking his phone. Did I pay my bill? Is what's going on here?
Hey, remember back in the day when you had the landline and you were waiting for a call and you'd pick it up to make sure there was a dial tone and then you'd put it back down? Is our Wi-Fi
right
down? It's 3:04.
Yeah.
You did say, hey, it's 2 or 4 minutes have passed.
Like,
there it is.
Aren't involved in this.
The Sacramento Kings have arranged meetings via Zoom to talk with Dennis Schroder and Russell Westbrook. Kings looking to acquire both, but have other point guard options to speak with. That's per Chris Haynes.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, I
at
was
all.
going to say, all
What the
right.
hell
What does that mean?
All right.
Hey, get Chris Haynes on the phone. Hey, step away from your little TV gig and call
You
him.
guys don't have a production team anyway. You don't have a production team over there now anyway. So go ahead and step away and call D'Lo and Casey.
As a matter of fact, Chris, just put us on.
Put us on the big screen behind Greg Anthony right now.
I'm surprised they didn't just use Skype, even though it's a dead platform. Well, we'll reach out to you via Skype.
Chris Haynes just tweeted the worst start to free agency ever.
Who else are they speaking with?
Chris Haynes' breaking news tweet is that the Kings have agreed to Zoom meetings with Dennis Schroder and Russell Westbrook.
Maybe it's a party line. Maybe that's what they're going to do.
thing?
They're going to get them both in there.
Come on, man.
Did 1140 scam the league into waiting till 4 o'clock? Is that what it was? Hey, wait till there's like 100 people watching those guys over there. Did they say, hey, wait till 4 o'clock and 3,400 people have to go somewhere else?
Oh, man.
Look at William asks, are we getting punked?
Ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Can you imagine Shams like fell asleep at like 2:45? Can you imagine
had his phone on D&D?
The panic he wakes up in when he realized he slept till 3:15?
This guy out here, what is he talking about? Who is he? Probably a former.
I'm not convinced that ESPN didn't know free agency was going to be bad, and we're like, yeah, we're not going to do a special.
Mike and Tony are talking about whether the Steelers are going to be a playoff team this year on one of the channels.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, everyone go home.
This is well, we're going to KSFM, I guess. This is a joke.
Now read
Wow.
the tweet again. Read the quiz. Hey, this is come on, man.
We have
Sacramento.
to do dramatic readings.
Okay. The Sacramento
this?
Kings have arranged meetings via Zoom to talk with Dennis Schroder and Russell Westbrook. Kings are looking to acquire both, but they have other point guard options to speak with. Okay, Chris, who the hell are the other options? This is
The Jones boys. That's who.
I'm covering hockey moving forward.
My beloved NBA.
Hockey would never do this.
This
I'm
is
just
wild.
My beloved NBA. Come on, man.
This is the worst day in the history of professional sports, maybe of America.
And then that's it. Like, not
James,
even
I don't
else,
have anything to add.
Not anything else on another team. Do we have anything else on another team?
Well, the Rockets just re-signed Jeff Green and Aaron Holiday. If you're into that kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
2 minutes ago.
Oh my gosh. The breaking news is Jeff Green and Aaron Holiday.
I'm going back to follow Woj just in case. If I have to read about Bonaventure basketball or whatever it is, then
Saint
I will.
Bonnie, the Bonnies.
What if Woj has been tweeting moves this whole time, but no one
my
knows because no one has his
gosh.
notifications anymore?
Right.
Jesus.
Like everyone just
Wild.
unfollowed him. No one has any clue.
I
That's
am
crazy.
sick to my stomach. Twitter is melting down right now.
Almir said, I quit my job for this.
We keep
Tough
getting the
world
I
out
think
there.
tweet. Ian Begley tweeted, I think Detroit will be in solid position on both Chris LeVert and Duncan Robinson free agency.
Well-
It's just the same thinking.
Thanks, Ian.
Oh, what's wrong with my league, man? What's wrong with my league?
I don't know, bro.
This is my league.
This is gross.
Oh.
All of the local insiders are cooking except for the three sitting here.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, we know one deal that might happen here very quickly. Zoom
Very
calls.
quickly, my ass. We're 10 minutes into this thing.
Yeah. But outside of that, like, okay.
Of course, I mean, unless you're speaking about something I'm not aware of, all we got is a Zoom conversation.
Yeah. Well,
I can't believe our brother, who is on television right now, had the worst tweet to start free agency in league history.
But look,
Jake,
is it even his fault? This is all he's got.
This
is all he's
We
got.
got an update sort of from Jake Fisher. Says that the Kings are planning to meet with Malcolm Brogdon per sources.
Oh, great.
Among the
Oh,
other
great.
point guard options.
That's great, James. No, Malcolm Brogdon.
I don't
Well,
understand.
hey,
Why don't they
man.
just get them all on the same Zoom? I mean, just like have a conversation. What do you guys think? All three of you. Come
Why
on.
don't they not send the link to Malcolm Brogdon? How about that? Don't send him the link. No, that one. I'm not enthused by Malcolm Brogdon. Like I've said before, a good ball player. It's me. It's not him. It's me.
Can I read
just
this?
not
Can I read the
interested.
Fisher tweet to you in its entirety? And I just maybe keep this in the back of your mind.
Only dramatic voices, though.
The Kings are planning to meet with Malcolm Brogdon. Among their other point guard options, doesn't have to be, but the Wizards are willing to help facilitate a sign and trade with Brogdon. Sources tell Jake Fisher.
Oh.
I ask you to keep that in the back of your head. Keep that second sentence in the back of your head. Doesn't have to be, but the Wizards are willing to help facilitate a sign and trade. I bring that up, Hammer, because if the Sacramento Kings truly do want to acquire Dennis Schroder, if the Sacramento Kings truly do want to acquire 2 point guards rather than one, perhaps a sign and trade for Dennis Schroder with Detroit, maybe Malcolm Brogdon with Washington, would make it easier to potentially acquire Russell Westbrook in a flat-out free agency signing.
Yeah, I mean, the only way it really makes it easier is if they're taking on one of your contracts that you're trying to get off of. And, again, I think the Kings would be willing at this point maybe to throw in some draft capital in order to facilitate something like this, to go get something. But, look, I don't know. Malcolm Brogdon, I like Malcolm Brogdon more than most people. The injuries are bad, right? The injuries is the biggest issue. But I certainly think that the writing on the wall is for the Kings to make some other pretty substantial moves, and they don't have to all come today. Like signing guys, this is the hotbed for signing free agents right now, but that doesn't mean that we won't have trades in the next 48 to 72 hours to try to move these things around a little bit. For right now, we're gonna have to see how it plays out. This thing's moving much slower than anyone thought it would.
Can you imagine being Shams Charania right now and the entire NBA universe is just waiting for you to do something and you're not? Did the league collude to not have anything announced yet?
I think it's possible the league did say something like, hey, we keep hearing about deals that may or may not already be done that aren't legally allowed to be negotiated. You guys might want to cool that, or we might look into the possibility of
this is legal tampering, right? Isn't that what the start of this is?
Yeah, but
now it is.
Would be how did the Kings and Malik already agree 30 seconds in?
Because they move quick.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
The other aspect is, does anybody really care?
No one cares.
No one. We know what the game is. We know they've been talking since February or March. It's fine. Just give us what we need at 3:00.
Shams should be ashamed of himself. The whole team. There's
Jake
LaRavia right now, the newest member of the Los Angeles Lakers. Jake LaRavia has agreed to a 2-year, $12 million deal to join the Los Angeles Lakers.
Year. A little bit more than what the Kings could offer. He was
hanging out with Lake Show.
No, that is not what was said.
I thought
that was not what was said.
That was exactly what was said. Or maybe it's okay, Jake Show.
My goodness, bro.
Well, that's interesting.
He was hanging out with Austin Reeves all summer. Well, all offseason.
Man, what a
summer
duo that is.
Okay. But okay, James, tell me what you think about this. I'm not saying that today he's this type of player, but we talked about this earlier. The fact that you were able to go get Nick Clifford helps with a potential Jake LaRavia loss, because he does some of those same things. He's a rookie. LaRavia's been in the league a little while, so he's a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more up to date. But I look at the addition of Nick Clifford where you have him, and I don't think that's like losing LaRavia isn't the worst thing in the world when you have a Nick Clifford. What you think?
My biggest concern is that Nick Clifford to me looks like a 2-3, not a 3-4, and Jake LaRavia is a 3-4. So yeah, I don't know. I think that. Wow. Okay, so now we have contradictory.
Wait a minute.
We have a contradictory.
What happened?
What the hell?
No, I didn't get it. What is it?
Chris Haynes is saying he signed with the Kings.
Is that Jake LaRavia or is that Jake LaRavia?
What is happening?
Chris Haynes is reporting Jake LaRavia has agreed to re-sign with the Kings at 2 years, $12 million. I don't think they have the $6 million though, right?
They can't sign for. I don't think he can sign for $6 million.
He can sign a 2-year deal with 10.7. So so I don't know.
He the 2 for 12. That can't be done.
The worst start to free agency is quickly turning into the best. What a comeback this has been!
Wow. I don't know what just happened. It's possible that Jake LaRavia just said, "I'll take both deals." How about that?
What is happening?
I will play
right
for
now?
both.
Did Chris say, look? So I'm looking at Chris on TV. He doesn't appear to have a look of panic on his face.
The timeline is just full of Jake LaRavia graphics, and it's just the two different teams now at this point.
There's just Jake LaRavia everywhere.
He hasn't taken it down.
Nope, it's still not down. Look, they're doing a one-shot on Greg Anthony. They'll pan the camera out.
Hey, is this for the media belt? Whoever gets this one right is the top guy. Whoever gets this one right, this is the champ.
Yo, if Chris is right, he is rock bottom shams in front of the world.
Yeah, this is wild.
But from everything we know, he can't. And if my math is correct,
it can't be 6 million.
Yeah.
No, he can't get it to. Yeah.
He might have meant.
Chris Haynes. Chris Haynes just changed the wording.
Oh, he did. He edited it. Oh, boo this man. Look at Chris. He's just there tweeting and typing away. Chris, we can see you, bro. Get the one shot on the host. Oh, Chris.
Oh. Oh no. What just happened?
Trying to do a live television show. And,
that's crazy. They got my man at the desk. He should be somewhere else.
Chris,
he should be like on the side.
You can't correct it, Chris. Like, it's too late.
You got to delete the first one and put a new one up in that situation. Oof.
Oh, Chris.
That's tough.
Well, head over to Charlene's Beauty Supply. Man, go to what we were talking about during the commercial break. Where is my man? I told him I wanted to show him. They haven't responded yet, but there's someone called Small Ball Podcast listening to the show. He said, why can't Perry just realize the path to building a sustainable winner in SAC is by tanking? So before, I don't want it to feel like we're picking on Small Ball Podcast, because I'll tell you this straight up. This question came to a group text message, like a friend group text message that Kenny and I are on. And I'll tell you the same thing I told y'all know it was Kamara. I'll tell you the same thing we told Kamara. Tanking does not work. You cannot name a single team that is tanked and has been successful. Not one. If your mission is to get back to exactly where you were before you started tanking, salute to the Philadelphia 76ers. You did it. Mm-hmm. Do not try to convince yourself that the Oklahoma City Thunder tanked. That is not what they did. They managed their assets in the most beautiful way when they had Paul George held like it was a Money in the Bank ladder match over the Los Angeles Clippers. And they were desperate to land Kawhi Leonard. I think there is zero chance Kawhi Leonard was ever signing with the Los Angeles Lakers, but the Clippers didn't know that. They gave up everything to pair Paul George with Kawhi Leonard, and that includes Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. At no point did they tank. At no point did they not attempt to win games. Did they have a great basketball team in totality? No, they didn't. But what did they go on to do? They got Chris Paul. They went on to do a variety of different things to help get to the moment that was last year, which of course led to the moment that they're at right now. That is not tanking. That is managing your roster in the most effective way possible. You want to talk about tanking? Is Utah tanking? Because they suck. They suck. They're directionless, and they tanked on a hope and a prayer for Cooper effing Flag, and it failed. Dallas made the goddamn play-in when we thought they were done. Did they tank? No. What did they get out of the deal? They got Cooper Flag. Tell me more how tanking builds a sustainable winner. Managing your assets builds a sustainable winner. Let's start there. I'm sorry. No, go ahead, because I feel like you might just pick up where I'm leaving off. Go ahead.
You got secure in the back that says they sat SGA for 2 or 3 years. That's because they had SGA, right? So they had a guy that, this is a foundational piece. They already had that. Number 2, the other thing about that is they were able to get a guy that they targeted as a guy that, we want this guy. They probably didn't know he was going to be an MVP. I'm not going to say that. But they were able to target a guy like that, because you can make whatever jokes you want about Paul George today and, all this other stuff and playoff P and all this other. That's fine. He was a top 5 MVP candidate in the league when he was traded from OKC. In the league. That's how they were able to get all those picks and SGA, because He was a top 5 MVP candidate at that time. Domantas Sabonis isn't that. Zach LaVine is not that. DeMar DeRozan is not that. So thinking that you can do what OKC did and everything be fine, that's a whole nother thing. And here's the other thing. Are you going to stay on OKC? Because I got one more thing to say about OKC.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, go ahead.
You got SGA, who was the 11th pick, and got from in a trade.
Mm-hmm.
The 11th pick got in a trade for Paul George. What draft pick was Jalen Williams?
Was it 16?
I think it was 16.
16, 17.
What draft pick was Lou Dort?
Out of the lottery.
Undrafted.
Undrafted.
What about Caruso? Did you draft him? Did you tank for Caruso?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. That'd be
You got Chet at
interesting
2.
strategy. Yeah.
You got Chet at 2. So that was tank, I guess, or whatever the case may be.
Or not being good.
That too. That too. And I'll even give you this. You got Giddey, and that allowed you to get Caruso.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a tank situation as well, or was it just not being good?
It's almost as if maybe drafting properly leads to your team functioning well.
Mm-hmm.
I just pointed, like, this is what Kieran Bagley does, and we love our brother. He says Utah is going to be better than the Kings. Salute. You can have that one. That is your death take right there. Next to your screen name, that's your death take. But you can keep that one. Let's go to David Lopez. It's our brother right here, the other D-Lo on the show. So why not follow the OKC model and trade your core players for picks and just run a trash lineup? LaVine and DeMar and Sabonis won't win games. So let's dissect what David Lopez is talking about right here. LaVine, DeMar, and Sabonis versus OKC Russell Westbrook and Paul George. Let me try that again. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis versus OKC Russell Westbrook and Paul George. Between LaVine, DeMar, and Domas, all three of them together, you can probably land one first-round pick, and it would be for Domas. You're not getting one from DeMar. You sure as hell are not getting one for Zach LaVine. And I'm sorry to tell you this uncomfortable reality. As frustrating as it might be with the way that the Sacramento Kings handled the De'Aaron Fox situation, and it is perfectly fine if you're upset with the way that they handled it and they settled on Zach LaVine. If you think the idea should have been wait for the offseason, you're probably right. If the idea should have been you only work with San Antonio and you make them trade for it, great. If you think you were netting a multiple first-round pick trade for De'Aaron Fox, you're sorely mistaken. This isn't hate. I have no venom to that brother whatsoever. The league watches the league. They see everything you have ever been frustrated about with De'Aaron Fox. They all see it. If you think there would have been this massive, robust market for De'Aaron Fox where there would have been a bidding war, unlike anything we've ever seen in Sacramento, you're dead wrong. Could you have netted a first-round pick? Absolutely. I think they did net a first-round pick. Could you have netted 2? Maybe if there were really 2 teams interested. Between Russell Westbrook and Paul George, you got like 8. And you got Shea. That OKC model isn't realistic unless Victor Wembanyama gets drafted by San Antonio and says, I'm just staying in France unless you go trade for De'Aaron Fox. That's what happened. That's what happened in Oklahoma City. That's the only way De'Aaron Fox would have netted you anything near what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with that trade, with the Paul George trade, netted for Oklahoma City. Wemby says, I'm staying in France unless you go get De'Aaron Fox. Then you make off like a bandit. Outside of that, you were just going to kind of get what you got.
The year before OKC traded Paul George. Paul George averaged, this was him on Oklahoma City. So this year, and then they traded him that offseason. Paul George averaged 28 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. He was third in MVP voting. He was third in Defensive Player of the Year. He was an all-star. He was all-NBA first team. He was all-NBA defense first team. That's why you could ask for what OKC asked for.
Mm-hmm.
We'll even go a step further. You talk about Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, the years, I could go more, but let's go 4 years. The 4 years before the Oklahoma City Thunder traded Russell Westbrook, he was fourth in MVP voting, an all-star, all-NBA second team, fourth in MVP voting, an all-star, all-NBA first team, the MVP, an all-star, all-NBA first team, fifth in MVP, an all-star, all-NBA second team, 10th in MVP voting, an all-star, all-NBA third team. That's why you could ask for what you asked for Russell Westbrook. Those are the resumes we're talking about. I got no disrespect for these guys, and obviously I like them a lot more than other people, but we're not talking about Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. We're not even talking about Domantas Sabonis, who was able to muster up in the last 2 years 8th place finish in MVP voting and a 7th place finish. We are talking about when they were traded, 2 of the top 10 players in the game. That's why you can't do the OKC model. You don't have those players to get that type of return. Period.
Let's look at a couple of things here because this Big John Poles asked, so Desmond Bane had a bigger market than Fox. I don't know that he had a bigger market. I want to go to Cam, too. Cam says that Bane haul trips me out. I don't know that Desmond Bane had a bigger market. Desmond Bane had a team that was desperate to land a player with his skill set, so they gave up the assets that they believed they needed to acquire him. Orlando thinks this is the guy that puts us on a different level. We outlined this with Indiana and Pascal Siakam. They spent that $200-some-odd million on Pascal Siakam because this is the guy to pair with Tyrese Halliburton who's going to take us to a different level. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. This is our duo. This is who we're riding with. Orlando made the decision. This is our guy. This is who we're going with. No team felt that way about De'Aaron. Because if they did, no matter how badly Vivek, Monty, anyone in that circle wanted Zach LaVine, and I do believe it was Vivek, they would have stopped and said, wait a minute. This team is offering what we'll just call now, even though it didn't happen, the Desmond Bane return. No one is saying no to that. No one felt that way. Absolutely no one. Now, there's multiple reasons for it. One, no one will call a player's punt card, or not a player, it's not on De'Aaron. No one will call an agent's punt card. They won't. Oh, we're not going to re-sign there, the old Rich Paul line. No, man, he's going to come in, he's going to work his ass off. He's just not going to re-sign with you. Now, people take that as he's not going to re-sign with you ever. Like that's what Rich Paul was saying about Anthony Davis. That's not what he was saying. He's saying he's not going to sign with you before he hits free agency. Look at the Lakers. He didn't re-sign with the Lakers until he hit free agency. That is a financial move. But the financial move changes if you sign with the team that you're on versus moving to a new team. Maybe this is why I can't have a basketball team. Because I'd be like, yeah, go ahead. Walk away from the 50 million or 40 million or whatever it is. Go ahead. Walk away. I'm going to use your talents to help my team try to win a championship this year. If you decide after whatever we do, you want to leave, hey, salute, good riddance. This isn't going to be a sign and trade. I'm not going to help you net what you want. If you don't want to play here, you can leave. But we're doing what OKC did. And we're going to take this risk and we're going to go sign Paul George. And it worked out for them. He re-signed, partied with Russell Westbrook, and then dipped. And if he hadn't dipped, the Oklahoma City Thunder would not be the champions. Masai Ujiri, God rest his soul, not dead, just unemployed. He said, no, we've kind of hit our ceiling with DeMar and Kyle Lowry. We're going to make this move for Kawhi Leonard. We're going to do everything we can to re-sign him, but we think we can win a championship with him. We were a 60-win basketball team. We believe Kawhi is better than DeMar. We believe he can put us over the top. I don't care what happened. I don't care if you fire Masai Ujiri 10 years later. That man took that risk and won a title.
Okay. That's a great point, because that was something else I was going to get to, right? Because they always talk about how tanking is the only way to a sustainable winner, right? Well, let's look at the winners last 10 years. And let's find out how many of them tanked to get to that point. 2015, the Warriors, did they tank?
2015, they did not.
2016, Cleveland Cavaliers, did they tank?
No, they were just bad prior to LeBron's arrival.
2017 Warriors, did they tank?
Yes, they tanked to get Kevin Durant.
2018 Warriors, did they tank?
They did not.
Okay. 2019 Raptors, did they tank?
They were a 60-win team the year prior.
2020 Lakers, did they tank?
No, but that one doesn't count.
2021
Alex
Bucks.
Caruso even said so. No.
2021 Bucks.
2021 Bucks went through it. No.
2022 Warriors, did they tank?
Well, no, but
They didn't even use those players.
They didn't. They just fell face first into the Larry O'Brien.
Yeah,
Salute.
you can skip that one.
Yeah, congratulations.
2023 Nuggets, did they tank?
They did not. They stuck with it and won a title.
2024 Celtics, did they tank?
I got this one. No.
2025 Thunder. I'll even be nice because we dispelled that, but I'll be nice and said they tanked. One of the last 10 champions tanked. One. So here's the thing that I always have an issue with Small Ball Podcasts and David Lopez and all this other stuff. If you believe,
you say their names in a way that makes it sound like you want to fight them. I try to say their names in a loving way. Like, oh, my man, David Lopez, Small Ball Podcast. But you sound like Ving Rhames and Baby Boy when you're talking.
Guns and butter.
Mm-hmm.
Guns and butter. Securing the Bagley, I'll talk to you too. If you believe tanking is the way to go, I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong for that thinking. I'm really not. We outlined some stuff and we had a debate class but if that's what you feel, fine.
Mm-hmm.
What you can't tell me, and this is where we go back and forth and we talk about it. What you can't tell me is that is the way to win. Because that's not true. That's false.
I saw someone bring up, I don't think I started, so I didn't. So apologies for not giving the recognition to someone. Someone asked, the Pistons tanked, right? And they're in a good spot. I don't think the Pistons tanked. I think they were bad. They landed Cade. He developed. Now, let's go back to the beginning of last year. They were the surprise of the league. Nobody expected them to do that. People this time last year laughed at them because they had available cap space that they couldn't use on Malik Monk, the lone team that went after Malik Monk, and used it on Tobias Harris. People laughed at that. They weren't laughing at the end of the year when that team was playing the way that they were. J.B. Bickerstaff, the perpetual interim coach, took that team, a job nobody wanted. Don't act like this was a plan. Nobody saw this happening with Detroit. The question is, and this is where I'm on a wait and see approach. I love what Detroit did last year. I'm also completely unsure how they did it. No shade whatsoever at JB Bickerstaff. He just always, that wasn't a coveted job. It doesn't appear to be a job anyone wanted. And he took it coming off of the run in Cleveland, and he killed it. How are you going to follow that up? Because everyone's talking about Detroit. Oh, the Pistons are going to be this. The Pistons are going to be that. Man, I remember 2 years ago when the Kings lost that 7-game series, what they were saying about the Kings after that. And how did it go? What's Detroit doing right now? What did they do last week? What are they doing right now? And how is that going to sustain them through an Eastern Conference? Hey, Atlanta's working. Whether it works or not remains to be seen. But they're trying. Like, they're trying to put Trey ain't going nowhere. They're trying to put players around Trey. We ain't even got to what is going on in Milwaukee yet. Celtics, with or without Jason Tatum, is a good basketball team. The Knicks, once they hire Mike Brown or whatever they're going to do, they're going to be a good basketball team. Okay. I'm going to take a wait and see approach with Detroit before you tell me that they had this big turnaround that worked crazy.
That's fair.
And Paul makes Paul, my man, Paul. Go ahead. I'll put it on the screen and you say it.
I got him because this is the other problem that I have when I talk.
Yep.
You can't tell me both things.
Yep.
You can't tell me two things. So we have all agreed, Jesse, Kyle, everybody's, that the Kings were on to something with Beam Team 1. They loved Beam Team 1. This was it. We found it. 17 years. We finally got it right. We got the right coach. Everything is good. We have Fox. We have Domas. We have Keegan. We have Herter. We have Monk. We have all these guys, right? Did they tank to get that? Did the Kings tank to get that team?
Oh, no, they were just bad for a decade.
Even the players that they acquired. Did they tank to get those players? No. So when you can't look at that team and be like, we missed out on something, we had something cooking and everything, all this other stuff, and then tell me tanking is the only way to get better.
That's not what I thought you were going to say at all.
I can tell because you didn't put it up there.
It's not even close.
What'd you think you were going to say?
Detroit has a guy.
Well, that's a whole nother thing.
Detroit has a guy. That is a massive difference between Detroit, Sacramento. You talk like we're talking Utah. Who's that? Maybe it's Ace. Maybe. Detroit has a guy in Cade Cunningham. Sacramento Kings do not. They do not have a guy. They got guys. They got bros,
buddies,
brodies,
fellas.
They don't have a guy, a dude. The one. They do not have that. And they never did.
No. Now, and then here goes the revisionist history. Now, all of a sudden, we did tank for De'Aaron Fox. I thought we never tanked. I thought the Kings have never tanked. I thought if Vivek would just get out the way and let this team tank, then everything will be all right. But now, when I got you, when I got your argument on life support, oh, now they tank for Fox, who was the top 5 pick. Once again, you said it a number of different times. You guys don't know the difference between tanking and just being naturally bad, just not being good. Did they tank the next year when they got Bagley and had the opportunity to draft Luka and they didn't?
Well,
matter of fact,
you could make the argument they didn't put forth the best effort that year.
Oh, that's dead wrong. Do we remember what that summer was?
That was the George Hill, Vince Carter summer, no?
Yeah.
But then what happened? But then what happened?
Well, no, I'm talking about that summer.
Yeah,
they weren't to tank. You draft Fox, you sign those guys. If you were tanking, you would draft Fox and not sign anybody and try to be bad the next day. They lucked into the number 2 pick.
They did, but they also pulled the plug on those guys halfway through the season.
They did. But I'm just talking about going.
No, I got you. Yeah. No, yeah. They didn't think they were going to be that bad.
That's my point.
They didn't think they were going to be bad. And when they realized they were, that's why I never understand why Kings fans are upset with George Hill. George Hill was.
Well, he was a bit of a jerk about it.
He might have been, but it's hey man, no, we're not. You're going to come here and compete. We're trying to win games. Look, we got Vince, we got Zebo coming in. You get it wasn't even 41 games into the season where they pulled those guys, Garrett Temple aside, like, hey man, we're gonna change our approach here. And I remember Garrett Temple was not quiet about this. He said this on the radio show I was on at the time. I didn't expect this. None of us did. Then they had a series of injuries take place where guys like George, I think they wound up trading George Hill, but Garrett Temple, some of these guys had to play, I think, a little bit more than they anticipated, but it was dead at that time.
And forgive me if I'm getting my years incorrect, but even when they decided to ship those guys off,
Mm-hmm.
weren't they still slated to draft 9 or 10? Or was it even they jumped?
Oh, they jumped. Yeah, they jumped.
By the luck of the ping pong
I
balls.
can't remember if it was 8 or 10, but they jumped from one of those numbers to get to 2. Yeah. I think it was Chicago they jumped.
Yeah, you guys are making it like let's just be bad and have 25 wins.
No.
That's not how they got to 2.
Yeah.
It's not how they got to 2.
And they got it wrong. That's the other part of all of this.
Can I be honest here?
Yeah, talk to me, because I don't know if we see it the same way.
I'm not buying it right now. Not that the negotiations aren't happening and stuff like that, but Sarge, Carter, and because the deal's out there. It was reported, deal's out there. Sarge, Carter in a couple of seconds. That's just so there's really just absolutely no market out there for Kuminga, huh? And they're just gonna dump him.
There might not be. There might not be. And this is what I was thinking about. Because on the surface,
also it trips me out a little bit that everything is out there so public as well.
I agree. Now, here's the thing that I was thinking about, right? I was like, Sarge, Carter, I think at first it was reported 2 second rounders. So that sounds crazy for Kuminga. But I ask the question to myself. I ask you the question, Jesse, as well. I ask everybody the question. I know we got guests and all this other stuff, but you can holler at us for sure on the Elk Grove Kid Talk line, 916-909-1320. Why would that be the offer? If I'm Scott Perry, now Scott Perry knows what he's doing. He's been in negotiations. He knows how to get this done. This ain't Monty McNair. This is Scott Perry. He's been around the block a few times. Why would that be the offer?
Because he's a big old bully. He's just like, give me your player. No, I'm just playing. I don't know, because like you said, they're probably James Ham and Kyle Matson were talking about the insiders earlier. There's not really cap space around the league for a team to sign Jonathan Kuminga and just bring him in right now. And we've seen the value of these players around the league. I mean, you can't trade anyone on the Kings, it seems, other than this little negotiation they got going on. But it seems like everyone's value is kind of low. So, yeah, maybe Scott Perry sees an opportunity where you can buy low right here.
I think 100% that's the case. Now, it doesn't mean that the deal can't be negotiated. It can't be modified. As people like to say with me all the time, Scott Perry probably didn't come to the table with his best offer. He's still got some other offers that he can give. But I think Scott Perry looks at the situation as Golden State, you've said in a number of different ways, you don't want him anymore. You said it when you didn't sign him to an extension. You said it when you went out and got Jimmy Butler. You said it when you didn't play him at all at the end of the season. You don't want him. To be honest with you, he doesn't want to be there anymore. He wants to move on. So let's not pretend like, oh, we'll just bring him back. You might bring him back, and we're figured out that way. You could be in a situation where it's like, hey, we're just going to bring him back and figure it out later. But I want you to do that. If I'm Scott Perry, this is what I'm telling the world. I want you to go ahead and do that. Go ahead and tell Jonathan Kuminga you're bringing him back and you guys are going to go through this song and dance another year. Go ahead, do that.
Why do you think the deal isn't done yet?
Because the Warriors are trying to hold out. The Warriors are trying
for what though? They
to get more
from the Kings, or
to get more from anybody. I think to get more from anybody.
Yeah.
And I think Scott Perry this is where he's not Monty McNair. This is where being in the league and having relationships, knowing different teams, knowing different agents. I think Scott Perry already did the work for him and called around and said, go ahead, look for a better deal. Go ahead. Hey, come get back to us after the 4th of July. Do what you want. I know you don't want to be embarrassed and be ridiculed by your fan base for only taking Sarge and Devin Carter and a couple of second rounders. I understand that. Go out there, go find a better deal. And if you find a better deal, if maybe Pat Riley comes around and says, hey, I'm willing to give up Jaime Jaquez and all that stuff. Hey, by all means, do what you got to do, because we don't really have a lot of players that we can offer right now, and we're not going to offer Keegan Murray. So if you can find a better deal, I salute you. You take that better deal, and you do what's best for the Golden State Warriors, Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob. Do what you got to do. I understand. But I implore you, go find a better deal for Jonathan Kuminga.
That's kind of wild, the concept that the Kings are now strong-arming teams. Like, yeah, go ahead.
But this is what happens, though,
Yeah.
when you are experienced in your position and you know how to work these things. Now, just because that's his thing, and I'm assuming that's his stance. I don't know. I'm just kind of like reading the tea leaves, because that deal was so underwhelming. It has to be there has to be something behind it, because it was so underwhelming. That would be like I'm not calling Kuminga this player, but that would be like Scott Perry calling Milwaukee and being like, "Hey, we got Saric and Carter for you and 2 second-rounders for Giannis. Like, let's make a deal." Like, it sounds crazy. It sounds so crazy. You have to know something, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it got to a point yesterday. It was like the deal was out there, and it's just like, oh no, like the Kings are getting leveraged again or something like that. They're getting used again at this point. But it's like, I also see that your point as well, where it's like, maybe there just is no market for Kuminga. Scott Perry's called around and all that. Like, this is what it is if the Warriors want to move off of him, like they've been saying.
Right. And like I said, I could be wrong. This is all just me just kind of thinking about why these things are happening and why they're going on the way they are. But it just feels like Scott Perry kind of knows what the market is for Jonathan Kuminga, and at least the trade market, and is willing to say, "Hey, this is what I've heard. This is the intel." Not telling him this, but just like talking to his team, saying, "This is the intel I've heard about what might be out there for the Warriors if they're trying to trade him." It could all change today. Somebody could see that and say, "Oh, wait a minute. If that's all it takes, we're willing to trade more," or something. Like, we're willing to beat that. That could happen. But I think as of yesterday, when all this stuff was happening, I think the intel said that's probably what it is. And you're also banking on Golden State. Once again, you don't want this young man on your team. You said it so many different ways. He doesn't want to be there. What you going to do? Bring him back? I don't think that's going to happen. ABC 10 and host of Locked On Kings. The guy's
Wait.
killing.
Let me guess. You're talking about paying Kuminga over Keegan Murray?
I gave the hypothetical. I said, if you could only pay one of them, which one would you pay? And
Keegan Murray?
I was stuck. I was stuck. It wasn't a quick one, but I probably said Kuminga. And I don't even like.
Why not both?
Oh, the hell yeah. I don't like my own question. I want both of them on this team. I want both of them. I want to see Keegan and Kuminga eventually. We'll get to that maybe a little later, but eventually in the starting lineup together, working together, being 3-4 interchangeable, all this other stuff. I think that'd be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So that's my thought. But Matt, don't nobody want to hear me ramble. Everybody been following you the last week because you've been killing it. Well, they've been following you before that, but you've been killing it this past week with everything that's going on as much as you can. What the hell was going on last night?
Things pick up quickly when there's a lot of smoke. What there's a fire. You're just trying to figure out how big the fire is or what kind of fire it is truly. All right. It's been a 24 hours. There's been stuff that I have directly put out there, other stuff that has been put out there that is associated with me or to me. So I'll try and clarify things as best as I can. Here's what I know. The Sacramento Kings have interest in Jonathan Kuminga. Duh. I think we all know that. We've all established that. That's been out there for days. That's there's nothing new on that. When the recirculation of a Dennis Schroder sign and trade with Detroit happened, I of course checked in. And when I checked in, someone who I very much trust, who's connected here in Sacramento, informed me that yes, there are still potentially Malik Monk conversations happening with Detroit, but that Sacramento's attention has turned heavily in the direction of Jonathan Kuminga. Pursuing that a little bit more, asking follow-up questions, I got again from people that I trust explicitly that the Kings conversation with the Golden State Warriors likely does not involve Malik Monk, seemingly because the Warriors are not interested in Malik Monk, and a lack of interest in Monk has been a pretty consistent theme throughout the league over the last couple of weeks. This one, I don't know if it's because of his contract. I don't know if it's because there's already Moses Moody and Buddy Hield on the roster, but it makes sense to me that the Warriors aren't necessarily interested in Malik. So then, of course, the natural follow-up questions are, okay, so one, how do the Kings open up the money in order to go out and acquire Jonathan Kuminga in a sign-and trade? And two, what do the Warriors want? What are the Warriors interested in? And look, I understand every organization's fan base overvalues their talent. We're certainly guilty of that here in Sacramento. I put this out on social media, but just to reiterate, anybody in their right mind who's mentioning Keegan Murray in any of these conversations, just disregard completely. The Sacramento Kings are not going to give up a core piece for the right to pay Jonathan Kuminga. Some people have a hard time wrapping their brain around what's going on here. The Kings are not trading a piece for Kuminga. They're trading essentially for the Warriors to help them facilitate a payday for Kuminga that the Kings would foot the bill. So the Kings are not going to give you significant value for the right to pay a contract. It's not going to happen. So that's where I got word of the names that the Kings are throwing out there, are making available. That's Devin Carter, that's Dario Saric, and potential draft compensation. That part was muddied. I've heard 2 second rounders. I've also heard potentially a first rounder. The furthest that my reporting goes is that I was told, and again, this was information that was circulating throughout different cities from different people of different walks of life. I have heard many things from different people in Sacramento in the past and not run from it because I only had that side. We can go back to the Zach LaVine thing. You can even go back to draft night. You can go back to the Keegan Murray draft. The reason why I went with what I had is because multiple sources, again, around the league are hearing the same things and have the same information. Typically, when that happens, there's validity to it. So where my reporting ends, the most recent thing was what I said last night, that talks were advanced. Now, that doesn't mean talks were finished. That doesn't mean a deal was done. Doesn't mean it was first and goal on the one. And Kings fans should understand that reference. It just means that talks were advanced. It went beyond just a framework conversation. They were actively in deep conversations, or conversations had happened to a significant level. That is where my reporting ends. NBC puts out an article. Tristy Rodriguez, wonderful woman if you get the chance to follow her and cover her work. She does not just great work with the Kings and Warriors, phenomenal work with the Valkyries. She puts out the article reporting that it is a 3-team trade. The the Detroit Pistons are involved as part of the Malik Monk sign-and trade. Makes sense financially because the Kings would need to do that to open up some money. She reports that now that's when you start to see these other preliminary reports, Slater and Amick and even Carmichael Dave, like putting stuff out there that no, this isn't true, or it's not that far along, or blah 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 blah. So my reporting does not include the 3-team deal. I had heard rumors of that, but never been told definitively from the people that I trust most that it is a 3-team deal. So I cannot confirm or deny any of those specifics. I know talks have happened. I know they got pretty far along. I know the Sacramento Kings are very interested in Kuminga, but I also know Scott Perry ain't going to be pushed around. And Scott Perry is not going to allow the Warriors to take more than they should in a sign and trade. And on the flip side, if you're the Golden State Warriors, you're not desperate yet. You're in a tough spot, but you're not desperate yet. If the Warriors want to play the long game, if the Warriors want to go, okay, we'll just bring him back on a deal. We'll pay him short term and then try and figure out if we can get a better offer or a better deal down the road. They can do that. The Kings are putting pressure on the Warriors, and I know some people, I guess, misunderstood what I meant or didn't quite didn't see eye to eye with the pressure. I'm not saying the Kings are putting pressure on the Warriors to where like you have to make this deal or there's nothing better that you're going to get. The Kings are essentially giving the Warriors an out and giving them their best option right now that does not involve them having to pay Kuminga's contract themselves and bring him back. The Kings are the ones giving them the option. Doesn't mean that the Warriors are going to say yes, and the Warriors might not like that package. I saw that package. When I was told that package, Kenny, I laughed. Like, that was my first reaction. But Scott Perry is making, hey, here's draft compensation. Here's a lottery pick from last season. If you like it or you don't like it, okay. Like, we're not giving you more than that, and we will be just fine too if we don't get Kuminga. If the Kings don't get Jonathan Kuminga, if you guys move on, we'll move forward too. Because it's not like we're a Jonathan Kuminga away from winning an NBA championship. So Perry's putting his foot down. The Warriors, of course, are going to put their foot down. Who knows how involved Detroit is in all of this or not. The only timeline or rush on this entire conversation is July 6th. Is by that point, the Kings have to have a sign and trade for Dennis Schroder done. It sounds like they're going to have something with Detroit, whether it's Malik Monk or just the sign and trade that gives some financial flexibility to Detroit. That's to be seen. If the deal is if it's going to be a 3-team deal that involves Malik Monk, it has to get done by the 6th. But if the deal is not done by the 6th, that doesn't mean that the Kings and Kuminga are done and dead and over with. So we're in this point of waiting. We'll find out. There's a ton of smoke, which means there's a fire.
Excellent job, man. Excellent. I want to run something past you. And like I said, this is just me talking to Matt George. You ain't got a report or confirm nothing like that. But I was telling Jesse and everybody else today, I was thinking about what had been reported as what the Kings were offering. Sarge, Devin Carter, couple of picks, second round, whatever you want to say. But much like you, I hear that and I'm like, what? That sounds crazy. Like, that sounds ridiculous. And then I thought about it some more. And I was like, why would that be the offer? Like, why would you offer that? Then I started to think, well, Scott Perry he's not new to this. He knows how to negotiate. He knows this is where we get into the differences between him and Monty McNair. He's been around this game for I don't know how long. He's built relationships. He knows how to work the league and talk to other people in the league. And I'm just thinking about it. Maybe he knows that's the best you can get, Golden State. That is the best you can get. Now, maybe hearing this, maybe Miami or somebody else might change what they've told everybody that they're willing to give you and up it a little bit. Like, we could beat that or whatever the case may be. But number one, I'm talking to Scott Perry now. I've checked around the league. You can't get any better than that if you're trying to trade him. Also, Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy Jr., I know you don't want him. You've said it a number of different ways with not giving him a contract extension, with getting Jimmy Butler, with benching him repeatedly. You and your coach don't want him there, and he don't want to be there. So this is my offer. Maybe we can work on it. Maybe somebody else offers more, but I know what his market is, and that's why that's the offer. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, there's a saying in negotiations where the most power that you can have is the ability to walk away. And I think that is a position that the Kings kind of, and the Warriors too, but I think especially the Kings are in. Scott Perry knows, hey, just like the Kings are struggling to figure out what Malik Monk's market is, and we've covered that extensively, you and D'Lo have covered that extensively here, I think the Golden State Warriors are going through the exact same thing with Kuminga. And I also think Kuminga and his camp individually are going through that same thing as well, because they're still looking to get paid. And the money that they're looking for, I don't think is out there. But some money is going to be out there because Kuminga is a good enough a player for a team like the Kings and other teams in the league to take a flyer on. He doesn't fit Golden State. He doesn't want to be there. in Golden State. Clearly, he wants a fresh start. I don't think the Golden State Warriors want to have to foot the bill when everybody's worried about aprons and the Warriors are still trying to get one more title window open for Steph Curry before he rides off into the sunset. Scott Perry knows all of this. So Kings fans might not be used to this because we're used to having it held against us. Scott Perry's using the leverage that he has. Again, the Kings are not a Jonathan Kuminga away from winning anything. I would argue that if the Kings were to go out and acquire this trade, or it happened, let's say Jonathan Kuminga is a King by the start of next season. I don't know how much better I'm feeling about the Kings' immediate ability to succeed next year. I think they'll be a better basketball team, but not significantly. So the Kings aren't operating with that in mind necessarily. Now, they've added a young piece to Keegan Murray, and now we're starting to see the semblance of a plan. So I think that is what excites the Kings and excites Kings fans more at this point. So the Kings and Perry can walk away at any point knowing, okay, we'll just look at what other options are out there. The Warriors might say that they're willing to do the same, but Perry is much more willing to call their bluff because as of right now, the Warriors are on the hook for Kuminga's deal. So the Kings can walk away and wipe their hands like nothing ever happened. The Warriors still got to figure out what to do with Kuminga. That's the tough spot that they're in. So yes, I agree with you. I think Perry knows that he doesn't have to put a lucrative offer on the table. I personally, and I think I heard you talking about this earlier, KC, I would be okay with the Kings sweetening the deal a little bit, not to a level that would be absurd. But again, you're trading for the right to pay Kuminga, not just for Kuminga's contract outright. So like if you want to make it a first round pick or you want to make it something like you want to have Devin Carter and something besides Saric that makes sense, like, okay. And maybe that's where negotiations are at this point or where the stall has happened. And I wouldn't blame the Warriors at all for taking their time and looking around the rest of the league and going, come on, there's got to be something better. But the Kings don't have to be the ones to put that on the table. Perry can basically say, here's the deal, or here's the idea. Here's what we're willing to offer. Give me a call when you're ready to play ball.
Right.
I think that's what Perry's doing, and it makes sense.
And you bring up a great point that I don't think I've even brought up today is not only are you giving up compensation, and this may be the holdup on the market for Kuminga, but not only am I giving up players from my team if I'm trying to trade them anywhere else in the league, but I also got to pay them. So like Miami may look at it like, I'm going to give you Jaime Jaquez and this person and this person, and I got to pay him $20 million a year. I don't know if I want to do all that, and there may be only one team that may be looking at it, talking about the Sacramento Kings, or like, yeah, for the right compensation trade package, we'll pay him his money,
So, I mean, I see this comment in the chatty house, and they're right. Like, Jonathan Kuminga has way more value than Devin Carter. Yes, he does. But again, the value for Golden State is not having to pay Jonathan Kuminga while taking something back so they don't lose him for nothing, right? So therein lies the value. You're not talking about, this isn't NBA 2K where it's 3 stars and 3 stars and you're trying to find equal value in a handshake, perfect, even trade. That doesn't exist in this scenario. The Warriors are looking to move on and not have to pay, but not lose a lottery pick, a high lottery pick for nothing. And the Sacramento Kings are looking to acquire that player and pay that contract, but don't have to give up an arm and a leg in order to do that. So if that's where the standstill is, then again, the pressure is on Golden State because they're on the hook for it. If they want to play the long game, which is a very valid play, and it would make perfect sense to me if they say, we think we can get better later, then they got to negotiate the deal, get Kuminga to say okay, and figure it out until they find that better deal. But there's no guarantee that their better deal will be out there. Kuminga's market does not sound great. And I would argue if they were to, let's say they agree to terms with Kuminga for $22 million a year, I would argue that potentially lowers Kuminga's value down the road because now I know I'm trading for a $22 million contract and I have to give you the salary and the value to match that. So the Warriors' best chance at getting value and avoiding the payday is right now. Let's see if they take it.
Yeah, I think so too. And then also, if they bring him back, which is an option, it's an option for them to do it. But you take him back and you're gonna not play him again, like you did in last year, at $22 million, or even if they did it at $7 million and say, hey, we'll try and trade him at the deadline. Well, you're not playing him. What you think you're gonna do better than Sarge, Carter, and two picks at that point if you're not paying him, and he's 3 months away from free agency? It was something that I didn't see coming. I did not see this type of play, but this is why Scott Perry, even though I was frustrated with him and have been frustrated with him with like the Trae Young thing and all this other stuff, I still let him cook, because this is the opportunistic small market GM type of stuff that we needed here in Sacramento. And so far, just having the sense to try this is something that we haven't had here in Sacramento, and I don't know how long.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one thing that I can say definitively is that Scott Perry is not going to be pushed around. Mm-hmm. Scott Perry is willing to explore options. He's willing to get creative. And some people might get frustrated because at times this is going to run perpendicular to how you feel as a fan. But Scott, I think, has his type, or has his player, has his vision for this team. And if you do not fit that vision, and it seems like in the case of Malik Monk, he does not fit that vision, Scott is going to do what he feels is necessary to turn that into something that does fit. Again, that might run perpendicular to your feelings or my feelings, because I like Malik Monk a lot. Kings fans love Malik Monk. But we've been asking for a general manager with a spine to go out and make things happen for a while. One comes in here and is trying to make things happen and has a spine, but is potentially willing to move on from your fan favorite. You got to let him do something. So I'm not advocating for the Kings to trade Malik Monk. I'm certainly not advocating for the Kings to give Malik Monk away for scraps. But I admire how Perry is attacking possibilities and looking at options that fit his plan, even if they're not popular. And I think Kings fans, even if you disagree with the moves that he's making, I think there should be an understanding that, okay, he's not going to be pushed around, and he's connected around the league. So the Sacramento Kings aren't just going to trade with the same 3 teams anymore like they do all the time, which is like Atlanta, San Antonio, and somebody else. Scott Perry is going to make moves.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Now, we'll talk about this like internally. We're in Sacramento. We're not at the negotiating table anymore. I'm Scott Perry. You're BJ Armstrong, or we can flip that however you want to.
You can be Scott.
Okay, cool. All right, man. BJ, we kind of close to this thing, and I know we talk about like kind of walking away, but are we too close? And is this too much of a reality where we kind of want to close this deal? Like, we'll sweeten it up a little bit, but we've got the fish on the hook a little bit. We want to get this done. They don't need to know how anxious we are to get it done, but I'm talking to you. We want to get this done. JK is kind of like, would be great for what we're trying to do. Do you think they're having those discussions?
Oh, I think there's a very good chance that those discussions are being had, but I think that what I would think that needs to be established is how much further are we willing to go? And this could be twofold. How much more are we willing to give Kuminga? And how much more are we willing to give the Warriors? And where's our breaking point? And we're going to stand firm on that breaking point. The Warriors, Kuminga, all parties are going to know, even Detroit, all parties are going to know we are not budging past this point. There's more potentially for you to go out and get if this is real, but we're not budging past this point. And I don't think that point is much further than what they're offering. This is me speculating. This is not me reporting. So I think Kuminga is one of the best options out there for real, tangible change. You talk about kickstarting a new era of Kings basketball. I know Neat Clifford and Maxime Reynaud were drafted, 2 rookies, and we're very excited about both of them. I talked to both of them today. I was blown away by both of them. They're awesome dudes. I'm very excited to see them play. They're part of this too. But going out and acquiring Jonathan Kuminga is a real start, right? That is a real start. It doesn't mean it's going to work out, but that's a real start.
Right.
If they think that is, sorry, I'm BJ, you're Scott. Scott, if we think that this is the best chance that we can get right now, and we don't know when this chance is going to open again, looking at the past of the Kings have struggled to make moves because they weren't willing to take chances. So I think we should take this chance. I think there are probably conversations like that happening in that building. But again, there's a line that I don't think Scott and his front office are willing to cross, and they're happy to walk away.
Yeah.
And that's good. If you don't have that line, that's when you get taken advantage of.
Right. I agree with you, Matt. You've been phenomenal this whole offseason, doing a fantastic job for ABC 10 and for Locked On Kings. And I know it's been a super busy day. So I appreciate you carving out the time, man, and pulling up on me, man. It was great talking to you and great insight again, man. Great job.
I appreciate you, Casey. I'll sneak this in really quick. Kings fans, get excited about Maxime and Nick. I like these two. Maxime is brilliant, man. We're talking computer science and mathematics major. Like, dude is brilliant. He's also like seeing a 7'2" dude in person. Holy crap. And Nick is, I'm so excited, man. I can't wait till Summer League.
Yeah, I can't wait either. That's going to be some good times, man. Matt, enjoy your 4th of July. Everybody out there in Sacramento and surrounding areas, enjoy your 4th of July. Please be safe. Please be safe. Don't pull a Terry. Get out of the way. We want everybody to come back healthy with all their limbs and all that good stuff. So enjoy your 4th of July. Eat good. Shout out to the Giants. They're in town. Vamos Gigantes. Do work. And we're going to be back here Monday morning at 10 a.m. And when we come back Monday morning at 10 a.m., I don't know. We might have a different Kings team, bro. We might have a different Kings team. I'm in. Matt George and all these guys, they didn't got me roped in, man. I'm in. I'm ready for this to happen. Scott, let's get it done. But if it gets done, you already know where to go. You need to be right here, 10 a.m., ESPN 1320. The insiders to kick it off. D-Lo and KC will be in here. James Ham, everybody, Matt George throughout the week. We're going to have a good time. But once again, I want everybody to have a fantastic 4th of July. Shout out to Kyle Matson. Shout out Coach JT. Shout out Sarah Hodges. Shout out Matt George, man. Y'all be good. We'll see you guys Monday at 10 a.m. Vamos Gigantes.